Why is every technology company and everything that we use like controlled and surveilled? And why does everything have backdoors to the government? That's crazy.
It seems like a mismatch of priorities.
I put out this tweet today. I said, privacy. What did I say? Damn it. I really like the way I said it.
You have to look it up real quick. Here we go. Privacy is the right to choose what information you share, not just the privilege to keep what they allow. They claim to respect your privacy, but in reality, it's just controlled permission. Well, you are borrowing their tool after all. So they kind of have that undersign, that's fine print that nobody read that said they kind of have full control.
They're normalizing that. We are allowing it to happen. All the VPNs log you, track you, give backdoors to the government. The email providers.
VPNs today are the biggest scam. Can I say?
Give backdoors to the government. Yeah, everything.
Most all VPNs are scams.
Well, most VPNs are owned by the Israeli.
Well, that's what I'm about to. Well, you just gave away the punchline,
Sorry,
brother.
Punchline.
So doesn't you think you're paying this $5.99 or $9.99 whatever a month for this VPN? You're getting nothing, SAR. Nothing, SAR. You're getting poo on a stick, and they still have all your information.
You get the ability to jump to another location so you can watch content that is geo-blocked in your location.
Fair enough.
That's the biggest play. That's what you get.
Well, then they should just say that. They shouldn't have
what you
all
get
this.
right now.
They shouldn't have all this hoopla about privacy. They still know who you are.
Yes, and they are tracking it. And when the government says we want this information, they willingly give it up.
Oh, bro! When the government comes in with little wee guns to these VPN companies, the VPNs are like, oh, yes, I'm no problems. We give it to you here, no problems. You need, if you're gonna build a VPN, you need a VPN that has 3 simple values. We're not gonna log your shit. We're not gonna keep your shit, and there's no shit to give.
Yes,
that's it. That's it.
And
so
that is,
you can watch that Netflix show finally, or you can watch that other show from Korea or UK. You can finally watch that, and no one will know who you actually are. Would be a good idea.
And we will have our own VPN in about a week. Yeah, we're working on a VPN right now. It'll be out in a week, and it's gonna be no data log, no IP log, and we are not a Mossad agent. So you don't have to worry about that. We're not tied to any government, so you don't have to worry about that. Basically, it is the only non-Jew-owned VPN in the world.
I like the NSTS. No shit to share.
Nothing.
No shit to share. That's it.
I mean, it's the same thing we do with Soju, right? Is that if someone ever came to us and said, we want this information, we're like, we don't have anything to give you. Yeah, everything we have is public.
Yeah, look at the public timeline, douchebag.
Whatever is public is what we have. Anything outside of what's on publicly on the site, we don't have any information to give you. That's how the systems have to be designed. But they design the systems. All the technology companies design the systems. They put all these levers. They collect all this data, and then they're left in this decision matrix of, okay, they want it. Should I give it or not? Remove that decision altogether because it's possible. We're finding out that it is very possible to do.
It is. However, there's a huge, elephant in the room called monetization, Matt. So the pragmatists in our audience would say, well, Matt, fair enough.
How do you make money?
They need to make money. So they need to give away part of their soul, part of their values, compromise on their values, which we've talked about at length before. You're not willing to do those things. And so they would ask you, the pragmatists would ask you, Matt, so how are you going to make money? How is this going to survive the long haul?
I have no clue.
And that's the most honest answer you'll get today, guys.
Because I truly believe that if you build a company that's supposed to provide a tool, usable tool for society and humanity, and if your goal is monetization, then the monetization decisions are going to dictate on how you build that tool. You should build the tool to be the best possible tool out there. And if it gets adoption and people use it and people care and you provide value to the world, that monetization opportunities will come because of it. You cannot let the monetization decisions dictate the direction of your platform, your tool, your technology, because then you become what everyone else has become, which is where the consumer, the user is the product, and all they're doing is building a mousetrap to get you in so they can sell you to the overlords.
Yes.
That is the worst plan and idea ever. And it actually is contributing to things like Airbnb, where they they weaponize their system in order to control the narrative.
Yep.
Or X, where you are the product, actually not a contributor. The only way to solve for this is that you build systems and you build software and you build technology that actually provides value first without asking for anything in return. Because if you do that, the people will gather. And when the people gather, there will be monetization opportunities for you later. And it's not easy because a lot of people need money to go to the next level, to the next level.
Yeah.
I get that. It sucks. That's life. We intend on figuring that out.
And we will intentionally do so with diligence, with wisdom, and try to make the smartest moves that we can.
Have to.
Right. The reality is that the future is unknowable, and so trying to plan a complex future is a useless endeavor.
For example, Reddit started as a product of Y Combinator. So they were a venture started product. They were not even supposed to be a message board. Reddit started as a website that was a aggregate of links from the internet.
That's right.
And they're like, oh, this idea sucks, but we already raised $5 million. Let's try something different.
Yep.
Okay. Why don't we just make a linear feed of different people? Like, okay.
Well, they added comments. You want to comment on
They're
this?
like, that kind of sucks because no one's using it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the two owners are like, hey, no one's using our site. Let's just make it look like people are using it. And for the first 6 months of Reddit, all the posts, all the engagement, all the comments, the whole thing was fake.
It was all, it was their own bots.
It was them typing to themselves, responding to themselves, make it seem like people actually want to use it.
They would look at you and you guys say, I got to fake it till I make it.
Their goal was to make money. The message board was a byproduct of them wanting to make money. And as people gathered, they're like, great, here are our product that we can sell, which are the users. And we're going to use them to make money. Their goal was never a discussion forum of ideas. Their goal was never free speech. Their goal was never to have an opportunity where people can learn, grow, share, etc. Their goal was from day one, how do we make the user the product?
Yes. Well, because their very inception, they had a monetary incentive to do so quickly.
And 15 years later, 20 years later, here we are, Reddit, publicly traded. They made a shit ton of money. All the major shareholders are Sam Altman, media conglomerates, etc. And you are the product.
Yes. And
Plays a shit show.
Well, not only that, but it's completely biased.
Yes.
I mean, it's not even worth going to in most cases unless you want to be literally 2 lines away from some political toxicity, right? I mean, it's like you can't go there for anything anymore because you end up smashing your face against these toxic creatures and cretins that only exist for some reason on Reddit online in that area. And so this reminds me of this short story in this article that I read about digital fiefdoms and how today's SaaS-based companies truly are just digital serfdom. Right? Things haven't changed. In the old world, we had the rich overlords and you had the serfs, right? You had the plebs, you had the serfs, you had the ones that worked the land. And when you were a serf and you had kids and you knew that your generations would never be able to own the land. You would just till the land, work the land for the overlords. Nothing's changed, Matt. We have these digital overlords who have basically said, you will own nothing and you will be happy, which is the whole idea of you don't have to worry about owning anything. You don't have to worry about toil. We're going to provide all the services for you for a measly fee of $5.99 here, $3.99 here, $4.99 here, $17. Like everything's rentable, right? But you don't own anything and you are completely controlled. If you think about the digital landscape that we live in, every application you use from Gmail to LinkedIn to X, right, to YouTube, all of them are digital fiefdoms in which you are just a plebe, you are a pleb, you are a serf, tilling the land, and by the way, paying rent on that land because a percentage of all of your hard work has to go to the man. I mean, you truly have moved from the analog serfdom to the digital serfdom. Nothing's different.
And this leads people into the rabbit hole and the path to black pillness.
Yes.
Because people are like, it feels like this is going on everywhere.
It's inescapable, actually, at this point in time.
And
I mean, what service can you conjure up that is truly free, that doesn't sell your data?
Well, I think that's why there's opportunity to do this stuff.
So
I think that's why it needs to be done.
so
There are people working on things all over the world, decentralized, centralized,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
There's so many solutions out there. But the reality is that someone needs to be like, all right, I'm just going to start putting it together, and I'm going to do it because it's necessary, not because I feel like this is going to make a bunch of money. And I think the problem is that everyone does it under the premise of it's a good tool, but this is a great tool that we can monetize. And once you go down the road, you become the thing that you wanted to escape from.
yes.
You have to be able to put that aside. Someone needs to, trying to, and do it in a more principled approach where actually the mission is more important than the monetization. And if you keep that as your North Star, is that we want to digitally free people. I don't know. I feel like that's something people can get around.
You're almost like the
Get behind.
Nikola Tesla of platforms and freedom tools here, because I think it's pretty obvious that Nikola Tesla, one of his undergirding philosophies and values is that he wanted to have his inventions and the stuff that he learned about to be used for good for the world, and like free energy and these types of things. You've probably gone down that rabbit hole, right? And so he was unfortunately deleted and treated very poorly because he had ideas that would take away from the monetization opportunities that the bigger wigs wanted. And so the issue with freedom tools is you're going to be taking away eyeballs. You're going to be taking away the digital gold, which is human user data, away from these larger companies. And we should be, let's just say, what does the good word say? Gird up thy loins like a man and prepare, because you can't be taking away their digital gold, Matt. They're not going to like that very much.
I think in order for this to become a reality, it does need to be a community movement. It's not something that one person can do. It is more of a freedom movement, a digital freedom movement. I think that even when I think about the very first early days of Bitcoin, the original members of Bitcoin, like the super OGs, it was not about Moon. It was about there is an opportunity in technology that can free us from the system and a finance system that exists currently today. And this is going to get us there because with financial freedom, you get real freedom. That was their goal and their ideology.
Yes.
And over time, it became when Lambo. But the reality is that even though that the new movement of Bitcoin has maybe hijacked what the original intent was, it created all these tools to make these new freedom tools possible.
Yes.
Because of Bitcoin, we have the ability to have these decentralized software because we have this open source movement that has grown.
Yes.
We have all these different cryptography-based systems and encryption now.
Yes.
And if Bitcoin did not take off and do what it did and lay the foundation for all these new technologies, we'd actually be screwed.
And therefore we can certainly give Bitcoin the respect that it's due, right?
Yeah.
Is that and I love the way you said it. I say it in different terms, but it's the same idea. Is I always make it very clear to my audience that Bitcoin started Web3. What is Web3? Digital sovereignty over three things: digital sovereignty over data, digital sovereignty over finances, and digital sovereignty over privacy. That are the three core tenets of Web3 in my estimation. And Bitcoin really brought the financial part of it. It brought the opportunity for privacy. Bitcoin isn't truly privacy, but then we have Monero and other coins that really did that well.
Zeno.
Yep, you got it. And then what was the other one? Data, the ability to and this is the data part, Matt, if I can just wax poetic on just for a second, is the thing that excites me the most is the digital data sovereignty. And how I translate that into praxis is that I should be able to turn on and off what data is allowable to be used and seen. That should be like, I go to a website and I say, I'd like to use your services, sir, and it goes, here's toggles. I don't want to give you this, don't want to give you this, don't want to give you this. You're okay with this because you need that. Don't want to give you this. Can I use your services? Yes. Like, I would be willing to take that extra 7 seconds to have the optionality to be able to be truly digitally sovereign in saying there is a transaction happening here and I know exactly what I'm getting into. I think that is the world that I'm excited about the most, and I hope and pray that amazing humans are building those types of freedom tools, though I know from a technological and architectural standpoint, it's ridiculously hard.
You are not free until you can be in control of your own finances.
Yeah.
until you are in control of your own data,
Yeah.
until you're in control of your own
Privacy.
privacy.
Oh, bro, that's huge.
If you control those three things, actually you're free.
That's what Web3 and Bitcoin brought in 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto.
And the reality is that the technology and the tools to make that happen actually exist today.
They do?
It's just about packaging at this point. Thanks for watching the clip. If you want to see the full episode, click here. If you want to see more clips, click here.